Welcome into another edition of What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. On this week's program, we get an update on the local housing market, and the outlook is pretty good for first-time buyers. A retired Air Force pilot thinks we should be doing more to honor our veterans, their own flag perhaps, that could be displayed year-round. Maybe a lapel pin. We get the conversation started after this. This is What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely, joined by Realtor Peggy Hill. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Dan.
It's been almost a year since we got together to talk about real estate.
Holy moly.
Almost a year, and at that time we were getting used to a new tariff structure from the U.S. A lot of homeowners were either coming up on their renewal after getting in during COVID, during low interest rates, or they had bought then, and they were going through some trying times and some turmoil. There was a lot of uncertainty. Are things any more certain now?
Funny you should ask. Well, we have a war going on in the Middle East, and a lot of people wouldn't realize just how much that affects us, but it does, because the 5-year fixed rate is based on the bond market. And when stuff like this happens, the bond market gets very nervous. Mm-hmm. So we've seen an increase in the last week. Not to say that the mortgage rate's going up next week. I think it just depends how long this war lasts. And, we needed one more thing to add to the mix.
Yeah, just when things are kind of getting back on an even keel,
exactly,
you have something else thrown at you.
So the tariffs were impacting us last year. They actually crippled the real estate market. And the only segment of the market that has been moving and really moving this year is the first-time buyer. And not necessarily just a first-time buyer. It could be a second-time buyer, but they just have no home to sell. And they are getting in. And our inventory levels for that price point, which would be anywhere under $700,000, is probably a month's inventory, which means that if no new listings were to get to the market, we'd have nothing in a month. But then you move to the next segment, anything above 800, 900, a million, and these people, have been through a lot, because you're not seeing people upsizing that much. You're who wants to upsize when they're not sure what's happening with their job? So Ontario's been handed a lot. We've struggled through it. I can honestly tell you better days are ahead, mostly because, the impacts of the tariff started happening last year around March. So, this has been going on for well over a year now. So when you see the new numbers come out for March, April, May, even February numbers, even though the headline wrote that it was, year over year we had dropped, month over month we had a 20% increase in Simcoe County. So that's nothing to sneeze at in sales. So sales need to stabilize, and then prices will. But I don't anticipate that's going to happen till at least later half of this year.
Paul Markle at the Chamber of Commerce was telling us last week that he thinks Barrie is in a better position to weather this economic storm we're in than a lot of other cities, because we've got shovels in the ground. We've got a lot of things happening. You see it that way too?
We do, and what we do have, our price points there are affordable, which is not something you're going to find in Toronto. Like, unless you want to buy a condo in Toronto, you're kind of out of luck under $1 million, right? So you can see people coming further this way. And what Barrie's going to have to deal with in the next little while is that we have used up a lot of that inventory, the lower price points. So two things are going to happen. It's either going to be that we're going to get more inventory of that, because a lot of people that tried to sell last year couldn't. So we're either going to get a lot more people coming to the market, or people are going to start pushing out. So the Midland's going to, the Aurelia, those markets will benefit from the fact that Barrie, might run out of those really low affordable options.
Have to ask, because you mentioned first-time buyers.
Yeah.
That requires a down payment.
It does.
And that's huge. And because I remember back in the mid-'80s when I lived here in Barrie, my first house, had to borrow $10,000 from my in-laws to put down on a $45,000 semi-detached house. 10,000 ain't going to cut it anymore, is it?
No, but you know what? It's only 5% that they're looking for, and you can borrow that. You can borrow against your RSPs. You can borrow from parents. You know, there's so many ways to get into this market. Your TFSAs can count towards it. There are first-time home buyer accounts that you can open now. And, you know, if you're looking at a $600,000 home, or, you know, you can get into a condo right now for $300,000, which was unheard of for years. So at $300,000 for a condo, you're looking at 10% would be $30,000. So 5% is $15,000. That's all it would take to get.
Right.
So you factor in some legal expenses and that. So for $20,000, you can get into a home, into a segment of the market that has nowhere to go but up. So, you know, when rent starts to equal mortgage payments, that's when things really start to happen. Because at the end of the day, you know, I'm not here to say everybody should buy a home, but it's the cost of shelter. So if you can put a roof over your head for the same amount of money to buy as you were to rent, why would you not buy? Within 5 years, those prices are not going to be where they are right now.
So you really have to sit down and talk with somebody, not sit on the sidelines and speculate about what you can or cannot do. You need to talk to somebody like you who knows what's going on and can explain it in human terms.
Exactly. And that's why we're so passionate about that. And we are holding open houses every Tuesday at our Huronia office. And what we do is we open up the doors between 5 and 8 because a lot of people work till then. And so we are there. We have a mortgage broker there that can qualify you on the spot, at least give you an idea of what you can qualify for. And maybe it's not today. Maybe it's in a year from now. But we want to help people make a roadmap, because without one, you're never going to get to where you want. You can't sit around the house and say, well, I can't afford that. I don't have $15,000. You don't even know where you could get that money. So we're very passionate about helping people get into homeownership. And a lot of it, to be honest with you, is because all my wealth is in real estate. If it's not something that I'm guessing at, it's something concrete. I had no wealth before real estate, and it's all there. So if I can help even 5 people do what I was able to do, then that would be amazing.
So what are clients coming to you and saying to you, either the people who are trying to get into the housing market or the people who are trying to sell and do something else? What are they saying to you? What are their concerns? Where are they going off base maybe?
So a lot of times, and we've had quite a few people in through our Tuesday night sessions now, and a lot of times they don't realize that they can afford to buy, because it just seems, you know, when you hear all the headlines, that's not what people are saying. You know, nobody's saying, oh, it's a great time to buy a house. What they're saying is it's really hard to get into home ownership. And that is a myth I want to make sure that isn't, if it's not necessarily your story, I don't want you to be going down that path. I want to help you get there. There's no cost. There's no obligation. You come in, you sit down with us, and at the end of the day, you leave with a plan and maybe some swag and a slice of pizza. The
supply is low, you were saying?
In the lower price points, the supply is low. Like between 900,000 and $1 million, we have 30 months of supply. Isn't that insane? It would take 30 months to sell all the homes that we have listed for in that price point. And again, it's just a matter of time before that price point starts moving. So a lot of patience is necessary in that price point. But when you're at 5, 6, 7, you're golden.
And what are you getting for 5, 6, 7?
You know what? And we've been getting detached homes in the city of Barrie for $600,000.
Really?
And we've been getting duplexes, because that's the smartest entry into real estate, if you ask me. That's what I did. So, and that's what all my kids did. You rent one spot, you live in one spot, or hell, you rent both spots and you stay at your mom and dad's. Like, it's just a way to get into the market. So you got to be creative.
Yeah, I was going to say, so many different ways you can approach this.
Absolutely.
And it's not just, I got to find a down payment, I got to find all this money, and I'm going to buy that house and I'm going to live in it. So many other possibilities there. And that's why, as I said, you really have to sit down and talk with somebody.
Well, and unfortunately, real estate's had a little bit of a bad rap in the last 5 years because we have seen a lot of up and downs, but people forget that it's cyclical. We had a 20-plus year run, and it was wonderful. And nobody complained then because, they were gaining equity every single year. So we've had 5, not great years, but they don't last forever either. And that's why I'm so passionate about letting people know this doesn't last forever. This is an opportunity that may never come again.
Oh, and if interest rates, mortgage rates scare you a little bit now, I remember back late 70s, early 80s, 18, 19, 20%.
I remember my dad trying to buy a home in the early 80s, and his interest rate went up 5% overnight. Mm-hmm. Overnight. So, I mean, the fact that when you're a first-time buyer, you can get in at 359 right now. It's a no-brainer.
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible. It takes effort and work.
Tell us again about the Tuesday night, how people can get involved.
Yeah, here in the office, you have to do nothing but show up. We don't need it. You don't need an appointment. We've got people there to help you. It's kind of like an open house. I find, when people are selling their home, we always do open houses because it kind of takes the intimidation process out of calling in a realtor and making an appointment. So I don't want this to be intimidating. I want this to be an open conversation. Like I said, at the end of the day, you're going to leave with a plan, some swag, and maybe a slice of pizza. And if you can't make it out to one of those, I bet you've got a website. We do. You can go to peggyhill.com or call us at 705-739-4455, and we will accommodate your schedule. Peggy, thanks so much for dropping by, keeping us up to date. We'll see you again. Let's talk again in maybe 6 months. Yeah, let's not make it a year.
Yeah, let's not make it a year.
Too much happens.
Well, yeah, and it changes so quickly. Yeah. So let's get an update in another 6 months or so. You got it. Good to see you. Thank you. I'm Dan Blakely, joined by former Canadian Air Force pilot Kent Smurden of Barrie. You spent nearly 40 years in the air between the military and commercial airlines, but you're on a different mission now to recognize the men and women of the armed forces who have come and gone and those who are still with us. You don't think we're doing a very good job of that. Remembrance Day comes once a year, but you're looking to take it a step or two further with a veterans flag and a special lapel pin.
Well, I'll start at the beginning, as people my age are wont to do sometimes. They wake up in the middle of the night, and for no reason, no apparent reason. And no, I didn't have to get up to go to the bathroom. So I for reasons I do not know, I started thinking about, being in the military and the Air Force, where flags and banners are all part of the deal. So, and I belong to several vet organizations in Barrie. And I began to think about flags and banners, like I said. And so I got up the next morning and I Googled, do Canada's veterans have a single flag, symbol, emblem, logo that represents them as a veteran? Doesn't matter what kind of veteran. And the answer was no, we don't. There isn't one. We fly the Canada flag, of course, at ceremonies. We fly the Canadian Armed Forces ensign. We fly the banner from the Legion. We fly our squadron colors and our regiment banners and all that kind of stuff, which is all well and good. But aside from a few important occasions throughout the year, Remembrance Day being the best or the biggest, it all gets put away until next year. And so I thought, well, why don't we have one? Why can't we have one? Why don't we have one emblem that a veteran could wear on his lapel pin, on his lapel in July, if he feels like it, if he or she feels like it, that says to the onlooker, he or she served the country in uniform. So this was the genesis behind the design of the flag, and I had the help of my wife Liz and my son Mark at Speed Pro Signs, a little shout out. And we put together this flag. It's been copyrighted, and we're gaining support to put it before the government.
What kind of reaction have you been getting to this from others who were in the military, such as you, and others who look from the outside in?
Very positive. I presented the flag as a surprise at a veteran function last December. It was a Christmas event. And the president of the organization, the Royal Canadian Air Force Association 441 Huronia Wing, said, Kent, if you've got a presentation, let's have it. Go for it. So it took me about 20 minutes from start to finish, and I got a standing ovation. And a few of the ladies were in tears. And because they were widows of veterans that have passed, some were. And they were just very, very, not overwhelmed. It's not big, but they were kind of saying, why hasn't this happened before? Why haven't we done this sooner? That's sort of the vibe I'm getting. Very positive. The design is quite striking, and it's simple. It's not a complicated design. And I think one of the points I should make is I had the advice of two heralds from various sources, and they said what a herald is looking for in a flag design, especially if it's to be a national symbol eventually, is simplicity and clarity. They don't want confusion and a lot of curlicues and crossed swords and all that stuff. And I think this flag delivers simplicity, clarity, and an unmistakable, the V makes it unmistakable, stands for the veteran in both official languages as well. I'm excited about it. It came out of nowhere, and I hope it goes right to the top. And I'm getting very positive feedback. I've had several letters sent to me by veterans saying they're completely behind it. They think it's a great idea. And of course, the merchandise that we intend to market on a strictly nonprofit basis, those monies go to veterans' causes. That's the whole thing behind it. That and recognition and unity. We call it the Canadian Military Veterans Unity Flag.
You've had a lot of support for this, but you need a whole lot more, and there's still a long road to go. What's next on the agenda to making this become a reality? Well,
we're trying to gather support from the highest levels of the biggest veterans organizations in the country. I mean, the Legion has 460,000 veterans as of this 2021 census living in Canada now. And that was the first census since 1971 that included veterans. So I don't know what the number is now. The Legion, of course, has some 1,350 branches from coast to coast and 270,000 members. A note from them to the minister would carry a lot of weight. The National Council of Veterans Associations would represent 72 separate veterans associations. A letter from them. The Army, Navy, Air Force, of course, the oldest veteran organizations in the country. I think it's about 150 years old. The Royal Canadian Air Force Association, I belong to that. There's 16,000 members there. The Royal Military College Alumni Association, we're looking for support from them as well. So all this together, and this is going to take time, we're going to approach the Minister of Veterans Affairs and the Standing Committee on Veterans Affairs to literally run this up the flagpole. Make it a national symbol.
Who has to sign off on it to get it to that point? Is it the Minister of Veterans Affairs who takes it before the House of Commons, I guess?
Yes. From the advice I'm getting, and I'm no expert at this. This is all new to me. But from a very good source I have in Ottawa says that in order for this to become a national symbol, it has to be made into law. And to be made into law, it has to go through Parliament. And I believe the conduit to Parliament is Veterans Affairs. So until we're told otherwise, that's the route we're taking.
Are you confident?
When it comes to the government, I don't know whether I should answer that.
Well, you've already...
I'm going to give it a good shot.
Yeah, you've already alluded. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
Maybe
it's
a year.
Not going to happen.
Take a year or two.
Yeah. You've got a long road ahead of you. But again, you've made some suggestions here about how people can help who are involved, have been involved in the military,
yes.
The Canadian military. Then there are people like me who can jump on board as well and write to your MP.
Yes.
You have an email address that people can get a hold of you?
I do. CanVetFlag, one word, CanVetFlag VETFLAG@gmail.com. And you can write in your support, suggestions, ideas. It's not a Facebook page. We may do that eventually. We don't know yet. Mm-hmm. But for now, that is the email address. You can send in your words of support, ask questions, whatever you want to do. But I haven't heard anybody say that's a bad idea. The overwhelming sentiment I'm getting is a great idea, a great design, and it's about time.
Yeah.
I mean, other causes and groups get, their banners, months granted to them, and good for them. Rotarians wear their pin. Service club members wear their pins. Why can't a veteran wear something that says, I served, year-round if they want to? The other thing that the other impetus behind the idea was the fact that military people who spend 12 years or more get a service pin and a medal known as a CD, Canadian Forces Decoration. And that says to everybody, I served for 12 years. But people who leave the service with less than 12 years get nothing to show for it. And they may have served with great duty and honor and
pride
and diligence, but they had to leave for whatever reason, or they didn't find it to their liking, and they left. And if they're honorably discharged with under 12 years of time of service, they have nothing to show for it except a certificate of service and maybe an ID card.
Yeah.
And I think this needs to change.
Well, and as you mentioned, 460,000 veterans as of the last census.
Yes.
Living in Canada.
Yes.
Because what happens is we get to Remembrance Day every year, and we hear about how many we've lost.
Yes.
How many veterans of the World Wars and the Korean conflict are still alive, and their numbers are dwindling.
Right.
But seems to be forgotten in all of that, apart from the fact that there's a great crowd that shows up for Remembrance Day services.
Yes.
Are those other 460,000, and you want to change that.
I do. I think it's time. I think it's worthy. It's a morale boost. And I want to make it plain that this is in no way encroaching on the Legion or the Poppy or Remembrance Day. But Remembrance Day is just that. It is a service of remembrance. And yes, we do honor our veterans on that day. But I just think there should be something more that the government can do to recognize our service.
And we live in a military community. We have a base still, just down the road.
Yep.
So there are a lot of people, Barrie, Simcoe County, base Borden,
yes,
who could jump on this with you,
yes,
really push it, and get the Minister of Veterans Affairs to do something.
We just need letters. We need something concrete, a survey of some kind where people could mail in. There may be a petition in the future down the road, a petition to Parliament. Don't know yet. We're sort of searching our way.
Yeah.
But right now we're trying to gather support, like I said, from the highest levels of the biggest veteran organizations. But one letter speaks for what? 10, 20 people? That's the ratio? Mm-hmm. One person writes a letter, they know that 10 people feel the same way.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
All right. Again, the email address, if people want to get a hold of you, show their support. canvetflag@gmail.com. And is the flag on display somewhere, or will it be on display somewhere? If people want to get a look at it, I'm going to get you to send me a picture we can put on the website. But if people wanted to get up close and personal.
There's only one flag in existence right now, and that's mine. and this is where it gets a little complicated. Well, not complicated, but our idea is to sell the merchandise through military veteran kit shops. That way, I think that the money will be sure to go to the veterans or the veterans' causes or to that organization. If we make it for sale at a local flag store, then they keep the profit. And that's fine.
Yeah.
They make the flag. So this way, I think we're going to buy from these outlets and then sell the merchandise through military veteran kit shops. If we come up with a Facebook page, then for sure we'll have an image of the flag. The
cause is a veteran's flag and lapel pin, and that's the thing that's nearest and dearest to your heart right now.
It is.
So let's get everybody energized and everybody writing letters and contacting your MP, and let's get this thing happening. Let's make it happen, and let's help the captain here get the job done.
Thank you, Dan.
And that's our program for this week. Thanks to Logan Miller for his technical touch and to you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on Blue Sky and X at Barrie360, on our website, Barrie360.com, and there's our daily Kickstart podcast available from any streaming service and on our website. I'm Dan Blakely. Hope you'll join us again next week.